So I'm going to make a video today, and I might make a couple videos on this subject, talking about the obvious way, yet the completely under-discussed way to build more harmonious relationships in your life and to manifest a specific person, if that is your intention. For those of you who don't know, Marvin Daniels, who also has a YouTube channel, is my friend, and myself, we do in-depth SP coaching. If you're looking for help, finding a romantic relationship, we can probably help you with that. If you're interested, I've made a ton of videos on it. Marvin's made a ton of videos on it. I'll put a playlist above of some of the videos I've done, and I'll put a link below to a questionnaire we have if you're interested in working with us on SP issues and resolving them. But the thing I want to talk about today underlies almost all the advice that we share with people when it comes to the romantic issues they have and the self-concept issues they have pertaining to being in a relationship with somebody. I always like to say that the real SP, the real specific person, is always yourself, because if we're looking at this from the law of attraction, law of assumption perspective, that's the truth of the matter. If we're going to use that terminology, the real specific person that we want is ourself. And if we have, you could say, actualized that more desired person within us, if we found that person that we want to be, then it becomes far easier for that external person, that romantic partner, to show up in our lives. But here's the thing. That process can be turbocharged by doing a few things correctly. And the few things, as I said, are obvious, so obvious that most people don't do them. And they are the kind of things that just are not discussed, certainly not in the SP community, but even in like the dating community at large. And, what the main thing you can do that most people don't do to make yourself incredibly attractive is first of all, love yourself and be honest and have integrity in terms of how you treat other people. In short, be a good person. In short, follow the golden rule. Do unto others what you would like done to yourself. The thing is, most of us have a rather poor self-concept, especially if we're dealing with, romantic issues, and we've been dealing with these issues perhaps for years or decades. And so even though they are doing their best to love the other person and treat the other person well, and attract a partner that way, they don't love themselves enough. They don't treat themselves with enough honesty and integrity and really look at their emotional landscape with the honesty and the integrity they need in order to feel differently on the inside. Because once they've done that, once they've looked at their feelings and how they feel, like their, you could say like their default state, or like, how they usually go about living their life and thinking about, relationships, specifically like romantic relationships. Once they've honestly looked at that and lovingly worked with themselves on that, which again is what Marvin and I basically do with clients, is help them do this, facilitate that for them, because it's not easy to do usually. But once they've done that, become honest with themselves, opened up the closet of their emotional landscape and realized that the boogeyman's not there and nothing's going to kill them, and all this fear or shame or anger that they've held for years or decades is actually not what they initially thought it was, and that they can work through it and deal with it with honesty and integrity, and start to love themselves more with more consistency, and have that more loving, honest self-concept be their essentially default state. Once they've done that, the external work becomes a lot easier, because your house is not built on sand anymore. You have to ground yourself, and these law of assumption, law of attraction type of teachings and principles help you ground yourself in a wonderful way. Most of them are essentially saying, follow the golden rule, love yourself, feel that deep sense of peace and fulfillment. You could say God, the universe, whatever, working through you always. Appreciate yourself. Don't look at other people like they're better than you. Don't look at other people like they're worse than you. Just treat everybody well, including yourself, the way you yourself would want to be treated. Once you start realizing that and start implementing it, this whole relationship thing gets a lot easier. Because there's not a charge as much when somebody wants to meet you or be with you, or if someone doesn't want to meet you or doesn't want to be with you. Because in the same way that you're communicating more honestly with yourself and how you feel, you're able to communicate with other people honestly about how you feel. People play all these games trying to meet somebody, trying to present a certain self to the person they're trying to attract. And that self is not usually their actual self. It doesn't align with their actual self-concept. They're trying to make themselves seem, smarter, prettier, richer than they actually feel on the inside. If we drop all that and just present ourselves as we are and say, hey, I like you, I'm curious about you, I'm interested in you, would you like to get to know me more? Can I get to know you more? If we can do that honestly and openly, well, guess what? A lot of doors will open. And the doors that don't open, it's okay. Because all of a sudden, we are acting like a mature, emotionally in tune adult for perhaps the first time in our life when it comes to dating, or maybe in social relationships in general. And we cease being a doormat. Most of the clients that we work with have allowed themselves to be taken advantage of for too long. And by improving our self-concept, that stops for the most part. And we realize that we are capable of being an adult and having an adult relationship, a mature, loving relationship. And again, people are attracted to this because it's very unusual to see, or relatively unusual, I should say, to see, like a single adult who wants to be in a relationship who's very forthright and honest and open about how they feel. And it's not playing all these games, let alone trying all these techniques to manifest a text or manifest, they're so obsessed with me, all that nonsense. Honesty and integrity. And that also means, like I said, you no longer are going to be a doormat. You speak up for yourself if someone treats you poorly, or if someone has treated you poorly in the past. You don't let that continue. And you can say, you know what, I love you, but we can no longer continue our relationship in the same way we have. If we want to be together, we cannot, do this anymore. Or what happens more often is, we finally come to our senses and realize, you know what, I love you, and I can no longer be in a relationship with you in the way we are. It can no longer be a romantic relationship. Move on. All the stuff basically that I think a lot of us were taught as kids how to behave, just that we had trouble implementing and integrating into our lives because of trauma. That's the real SP work, in my opinion. That's the real self-concept work when it comes especially to relationships. It's not a technique. It's not like fast work, like, 1 week, 3 weeks, 3 months that your whole life is going to change. But if you work on it, yeah, within 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, your entire life will change, but from the inside out. That's the difference. That's the real SP work, because you're the real SP. So I hope this was helpful. If you have questions or would like a free consultation from Marvin and myself, you can fill out the questionnaire below. And until next time, know that you are a good person.